Hello everyone, welcome to Motovlog on my channel. My name is Marshall3498, and on today's Motovlog is going to be motorcycle related as usual, and that topic is going to be the pros and cons of having a dual sport motorcycle and what they're good at and what they're not good at. There's a lot of pros, so I'll start out with them. The pros are, the main thing is the lightweight nature of the bike. It's lightweight, so it's easy to handle on back roads and off-road, especially where, those heavyweight or middleweight, like 790s and Teneres and 890s can be more of a handful, especially for a newer rider or a new off-road rider for that matter. I've been riding now on the street for this is my 10th riding season, so a decade. And, I've had a couple other adventure bikes, middleweight, so I can kind of compare, and, like I said, the weight of this bike, fantastic, or dual sports in general. And, they're lightweight, they're easy to handle on and off-road. And, if you're putting in a long day in the saddle, in a dual sport especially, you're not as tired at the end of the day, and you're not worried as much about dropping not only a heavy bike, but a fairly expensive compared to this, middleweight ADV bike. Even, like the Gen 3 KLRs are quite a bit more expensive than this. I don't know that number off the top of my head because I'm trying to narrate and not get killed by people who don't look when they stop at a stop sign like that car. But, they're so easy to handle on and off-road. That's what makes them good at, because you can concentrate more about having fun and not as worried about dropping the bike and being able to pick it up. Hope this dog doesn't run out. He's chewing on a piece of wood. Okay, so he's not worried about me, so that's good. But these bikes are so good at that, and the Honda especially, because the nature of the motor is essentially it has a CBR 300L motor in there. And, that's Honda's, what in the world? Somebody's burning something over here. Woo! Wow. Probably burning leaves. Anyways, it is March, so everybody's starting to do spring cleanup here in East Tennessee right now, apparently. But, even though there's a burn risk right now, but they hopefully, they're keeping an eye out on whatever they're burning over there. But, the motors on these little 300Ls, I'm riding a 300LS, or the gray and orange one, mainly gray more than anything, which is the low seat model. But the engine vibrations are so low, you can have them wrung out in high gear doing 70, 75 miles an hour, even on the freeway. And, the motor is, I wouldn't say it's happy, but it's a Honda, so it's pretty able to do that all day long without really too much trouble on the motor longevity anyway. But it's just, that matters, and you get close to 70 miles a gallon, so that does help in everything. This is a blind hill, sorry people. But because of the motor, that's one thing, so that makes it good on the road. And it's a very linear power band too, and a lot of dual sports are like that. Some are, some aren't, but most of the Japanese dual sports, the motor is fairly low stressed and low strung, and it doesn't really matter if it's lugging down low or in top gear at almost the top speed. The KTM like 500s and stuff, they're probably a better off-road bike than this, but the motor itself, the vibrations are way more, so that doesn't matter, and add to the nature of some dual sports versus a more budget one, for lack of a better term. The Japanese ones are, most of them are don't require as many valve checks and oil changes and stuff like that, so that does add to the ownership cost of less maintenance, and that's why a lot of people gravitate, I think, to a Japanese dual sport versus some of the more off-road focused and more expensive ones. But these bikes are great. It's even stuff like this. They're a blast on. They're so lightweight and nimble, even with knobbies on it. They don't care if, being leaned over or not. The brakes are pretty decent. Of course, the 300 LS has ABS front and rear, but it is able to turn off with that little button. You hold it down and turns ABS off in the rear only and leaves the front on. But these bikes, they're really great. I think, I'm 5'10", 185 pounds. I'm a medium-sized guy, I guess, and I don't feel cramped on this. Yeah, I could probably do with some bar risers, and that would help my arm position just a little bit on the road, and a little bit more comfortable standing up. But that's an easy mod, or you can just switch the bars out to like a high bend bar or something like that. But the bikes are, not only because of them being lightweight, they stop pretty well overall, even on a knobbier tire. And they're, like I said, they're good on fuel mileage. The only big concern, as you can tell by that flag maybe, is a windy day, or freeway riding. It's not its strong point. You can do it. A lot of people, especially on the rally, one with wind protection, they'll ride 4 or 500 miles maybe to get to the place they're going, and then the bikes are so light enough they get off road. That's where they really shine the most. But not only the lightweight nature of the bike make it easier to ride on and off road for new riders, or maybe a new off-road rider. I've been riding the street now for 10 years, so I'm still getting used to the off-road stuff. I've ridden off-road a little bit on my KTM 890 Adventure I had before this that I sold, but this bike is going to be in the dirt very soon, in the next couple months, and I'm very excited about that, to see how much better it really does, and I'm sure it will. Honda sells a ton of these little 300Ls and the rallies, and that's kind of their strong suit. And parts availability, especially for any Japanese dual sport, there are tons of aftermarket support out there, especially for the Hondas. There, if you can think it, somebody makes one, and if they don't, you can maybe make something in your backyard or garage, and not only are they easy to work on too, that helps also. But yeah, they're fantastic little bikes. Is the suspension on kind of yeah, a little bit, but it depends on how much how much that really bothers you or not. And you can do a pretty decent upgrade depending on your manufacturer, front and rear, for a few $100s. At the cheap end, you can just respring the standard factory rear shock and put a stiffer spring in one fork leg and be a lot better. I think that's some of the appeal about some of these little Hondas is you can kind of custom make the bikes to suit you on what you want it for. If you're okay with a really soft pogo suspension, as they say, because you ride it more on the street, because you're kind of a newer rider, it's whatever. You can make it how good or how better, for lack of a better term, that you want. But even on roads like this, like 50-mile-an-hour roads, yes, it's a fairly windy day today, but as long as you kind of loose on the bars and let the bike kind of move around and don't fight it too bad, it's still not too bad. When it gets bad is, if it wasn't, probably maybe hear some of that in the mic. When it gets bad is when it's really windy, but like if it's a fairly calm day in East Tennessee here where I live, I'll cruise up and down this 4-lane highway not at the speed limit I'm at right now, but maybe 10 or 15 above it, and still be okay, still have enough power to pass people going uphill and stuff. But on the freeway, not really this bike's strong suit, but on roads like this, it's still fun. But that's the main thing, is the lightweight. Everything's about a compromise in ADV and dual sport riding. the lighter the bike, the less it's going to be better around traffic, and the higher the speed gets, the more the bike suffers. But that's kind of, that's kind of that give and take thing. Like I said, that, in order for it to be better off-road, because of lighter weight, it suffers a little bit on the road, but it is still doable, and it's just something you got to kind of get used to. But right now I'm fighting a pretty strong headwind, but if I was on a back road doing 10 miles an hour slower, and without all this air turbulence from all the cars, where you have more trees around you and stuff, it's not as bad. But on that, guys, if you've not already done so, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'll do anything I can to help you if you got any questions on that guys. Ride safe. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.